Hey everybody, this is Allison from AllyKatzkreations. How are you? So I really hope that you guys enjoyed the first episode of the Anunnaki series. More to come. We're going to do episode 2 today. Really excited about it. Very interestingly enough, no one commented. No one's interested. So I'm just going to keep going until somebody's like, oh, I know a lot about the Anunnaki. But today I'm going to go into, I want to say 3 websites that I was researching and like taking things. I mean, a lot of them say very similar things, just like rewritten. And a lot of people base a lot of their information off of Zachariah Stitchin, which is fine. Adore the guy, though he passed. His information is very vital because I think, in my opinion, his theories are going to be proven right. But there is something which I can't show, but I'll discuss when we get to the part about the gold. Wink, wink, nod, nod. So, like the other day, I have to read off of my slideshow that I made that took almost all day. I was also diving into the Law of One. I'm still trying to create my gem series. And I found some juicy tidbits that I definitely forgot that was in the book. The book is huge. And it's chopped up into different volumes for the 40th anniversary. So I'm rereading it because I read it a long time ago and a lot went over my head. I'm glad I didn't start that series because that wise words of wisdom are amazing. I don't know if I'm going to need my glasses, my blue light glasses. Because you know me in reading. So I might not have my phone on Monday. We'll see what happens. I have to try to figure out something with the bank tomorrow to pay my phone bill for Monday. Fun times. Really fun times. And yeah. I can't do this anymore. And I know that there's people trying to help me out, get back on my feet. Pure strangers. I don't know if they're trying to hack me, but I'm going to say this to T-Mobile. I didn't receive phone calls for at least 10 days or text messages. And I tried text messaging somebody. I don't really use my phone to call much unless I'm calling a cousin or my aunt. But she left me several voicemails, never got them, never got missed calls, don't know what happened. So that's kind of concerning. I don't know if they're switching over the network. And if that is the case, kosher beans, I can handle that. But if not, like, you weren't providing me proper service, I want money off my bill. We'll see how that happens. So I am just going to overlay this and hang on. Like everything in my life, my dehumidifier broke. I'm very stuffy again. But I get nosebleeds around this time of year because of the hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, and then I had to lower my heat, and I put my dehumidifier on, and that thing did not work. And yeah. But I am taking my drops, not these in particular. But my lovely hair is growing back. Recommend them. Email me if you're interested. I don't put like the company on for a reason, because if you do want to buy or become a person who helps sell them, I have to walk you through a process so you get it cheaper. And I can't just do that here. So if you're interested in bettering your health, let me know, because it works for me. And I'm not just saying that. I seriously, like, I eat them. So it's not like I haven't tried it and I don't own up to, I eat them. They're really good. Okay. So we're going to start off with Anomalian.com, ANOMALIEN.com. This might be a little bit of what we were going over the last time, but it gives a different twist on things that I think are really good to know and hear from. So again, I'm going to get a little intimate with you guys before I start. If this resonates with you, please hit that like button. If you like the content on my channel, I have a lot of different books that I read. I have a lot. Emerald Tablets, Keys of Enoch, The Law of One, Barbara Messiniak, Rebecca Campbell, Dolores Cannon. I go through a whole lot of that stuff. Elena Denon. I haven't touched the Dr. Michael Salla yet. And a lot of them, it's okay to like quote and like do certain things, but you can't, a lot of books don't want you to like, they want you to purchase everything. They don't want you to read verbatim. So it gets a little rough having to do certain books you can do read alouds on, others you can't. My whole discrepancy with all of this is I'm doing this because history absolutely needs to be rewritten. We were not told the truth about our history, our origins, and the beginning stories are not correct. There's timelines missing. There's a lot of information that people do discover, and it's twisted and infiltrated. The concepts that we learn about are called things, I don't want to say it, tinfoil hat topics that are absolutely not that. So we need to really rethink how we want to teach children, and we're going to have to relearn it all ourselves anyway, all about these books that were not infiltrated. I think it's very important that this information is scrutinized and looked at, and me putting this out there is only helping you grow your consciousness in your mind. This is giving a perspective. It might not be the truth, but I think it's very important to go to them because I believe they exist. I believe that they help seed humanity. Whether it was for a good cause or a bad cause, they still, here we are. And it's in divine creation. So we were meant to happen the way we did with their help in terms of our bodies, not of our soul. So I really feel that it's imperative that this information starts coming out more rapidly That's why I did the emerald tablets, knowing that the arcs are being found, that we have a lot of disturbances in the East Coast, West Coast as well, of both the African and English continents, Europe and America. We're getting hit with a lot of earthquakes. There was one in New Jersey and one in Massachusetts in the last several days. Why? We don't get them up here. We don't. We very rarely get anything. We had one a few, I want to say 14 or 15 years ago, we had one that we felt here where I am in New York City. But otherwise, we don't really feel them. And we have a lot going on with volcanoes and just weather disturbances and a lot of interesting things. So one has to question if the emerald tablets are coming to light. I don't know, but it's really cool to ponder that. And if it does, we were prepared. So just like that, the Anunnaki, I want to go over because of their coming back. And we should know about their history, whether it be right or wrong. This is the information that I'm finding out there, and I'm going to just pass it along to everybody. So here we go. It is believed that on one of Nibiru's passes through the inner solar system, the Anunnaki, with the aid of both spacecrafts and possible stargates, come down to our primitive planet to search for minerals, particularly gold. Upon finding the best gold deposits in southern Africa, they set out upon the tasking of mining it. The indigenous population at the time consisted of animals and primitive proto-humans who revered the earth-bound Anunnaki as God, revered. Eventually, the working class Anunnaki that were stuck here on Earth got tired of performing the grueling labor that is mine work and revolted against their leaders. In order to restore peace to their society, their leaders needed to find a new source of labor, and the Anunnaki on Earth had perfect candidates, humans. I'm going to put a pause on that thought. If you think back to when we grew up learning about the time of Yeshua, the pharaohs, and the people of Egypt, okay? When we think about Passover and we think about the people who built the pyramids, nobody built the pyramids. It was from thought forms. It was from telepathy. It was from sound and vibration that built those pyramids. The Sphinx as well. So mind you, there might have been humans who dug out the caves to put most of the kings and sarcophagi in the mountains and the tombs. They might have dug this space out. They didn't build it, in my opinion. So could have these have been the humans they're talking about? Even though it happened in southern Africa and Egypt is absolutely east, north, northwest. Yeah, northwest. And again, the land masses were different in different locations. So I might have said something right, oddly enough. So just think, I think about that, and I think about like them digging, not building. Just a thought. However, in their current state of evolution, they couldn't perform the task of the Anunnaki workers. So the Anunnaki decided to give humanity the jump start. It would need to do their work for them. We discussed how they, a race of humanoid extraterrestrials from the planet Nibiru, had come to primitive Earth in order to mine gold. However, in order to quell a rebellion amongst their working class, their leadership had to find a way to get the grueling labor of everyday mine work done. Their solution was man, but Homo erectus, as he comes to be called, was not smart enough or strong enough to get things done. So the Anunnaki had to kick men's evolution into high gear. How did they do so? Well, they just injected some of their DNA into the equation. The Anunnaki decided to play the part of the gods that most primitive humans already thought they were and created new life through crossbreeding. The accounts of how the crossbreeding was carried out vary. Some say that Anunnaki males already infiltrated with the purity and beauty of Earth's women, impregnated them, and that their children were the first Homo sapiens, from whom we are all descendants. Other accounts say the Anunnaki took the seed of men and implanted it into some of their women, who in turn gave birth to our current evolutionary incarnations. These theories vary depending on the theorist's view of the Anunnaki. Now, before I go on, one would have to suspect two things. Obviously, the Anunnaki are, as we, being the Homo sapiens that we are, way bigger than us. Because at that time, Homo erectus was bowing down to these ginormous beings. Like, they were like, who that, what? Right? And in some of the biblical texts, you get the Nephilim. You get the giants. But then can a human woman, a female, birth a Nephilim? I mean, we come out tiny, 6 to 7 pounds. And yes, there are some men and some women who absolutely excel over 6 feet 8 inches. There's some people who are 7 feet tall, but very rare and few and far between in our time. I mean, that stuff does happen, but I would suspect that an Anunnaki woman would have the birth the Nephilim. Just a thought and a theory. Putting that one out there. Some believe that the Anunnaki were cruel and dictatorial race that enjoyed enslaving men. Genetically engineered entire species just for fun. Sexually abused our women and created all of our religions and all of their doctrines, the Bible, the Quran, etc., just to shape our social development to their ideals. I believe that. Absolutely. What happened to the female? The divine counterpart? I don't know. There was no balance. And then one book tells you of an all-fearing God, and the other is a more loving God. But there's a lot of cannibalism, sacrifice, bloodletting in those books. And it also creates division. How do you control people? Division. You pin one against another. And they already knew that because they've been alive and fought wars way before we ever existed. I'm going to move on now. The people in that camp tend to believe that the Homo sapiens came from Anunnaki impregnating Earth women. On the other side of the coin, it is believed that while the Anunnaki were exactly the nicest species in the universe, they had some sympathy and love for humankind and chose to carry out next evolutionary step in the wombs of their queen. Both factions share some beliefs, such as the Anunnaki being responsible for religion and they're tampering with our gene pool for the benefit of their workers. But one side clearly has a more sinister view of our ancestors. So now that the Anunnaki had made an entire new race to work their minds, they ran into the same problem that any business with a lot of workers would run into: controlling their workforce. To do so, the Anunnaki took early man's idea that they were gods to the next level and began to act as if they were the capes. I mean, it goes without saying what our society's like now. They installed the most intelligent of their humans as kings and other forms of royalty, and had them run their workforce for them. The idea that early kings were following divine orders is believed to come from the Anunnaki, viewed as the gods, given their orders to them so that they could pass it down to their subjects, the working class. So, mind you, the bloodlines that directly come from them, they exist, they still exist. And what do you think our whole society, planet-wide, has been under this entire effing time? That working society. Do you think you actually ever voted for your president? Or they were installed? There's only one case. And I can't even say that it wasn't an install. I don't think it was installment, like the people actually voted and it worked. One. Remember, the queen, all the royals around the world, puppets infiltrated, installed to carry out the same exact thing I just read to you. That system has been around forever. 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 How did they then get their product? Simple. They pay tributes of gold and whatever else they wanted in exchange for knowledge, technology, and not destroying us. Woo, Granada Treaty, here we are. But that was infiltration of the Greys. Again, the two views of Anunnaki conflict, with one side thinking this was all done so that even after they no longer visited the Earth, the Anunnaki's influence would be felt, while the other simply sees it as a sort of business strategy. Maybe like we do, they had many individuals and groups competing for a variety of interests, good and bad. And they did. Oh, they did. The Sikar Nebu Empire. After the Anunnaki left, we were still left with a very humongous problem. The Draco Reptilians and the Greys. And there's a lot of different types of Greys, like I went over in the last episode. And what did they do? They've infiltrated for a longer time than we think. Way longer than we think. We only remember Roswell, but they've been here for a long time. And sometimes they would wean off into the dust, into the undergrounds, and not to be seen. And they let the humans do what the humans do best, destroy themselves, build up war, but they still have infiltration in everything. Hence why our world is so messed up. And a lot of people don't even know that. Tinfoil hat wearing girl. It's clear that the story of the Anunnaki makes sense and was well thought out. But is there any proof? What do the scholars that come up with these theories point to as their proof that they exist and influenced us? The story of this creation has been repeated in popular culture, most notably in the film Stargate. And from writer's perspective, it is well written and makes sense. But where's the proof? Where did people like Zecharia Sitchin get their ideas? Well, they got them from a lot of places. Most notably, they got their physical evidence from the runes and artifacts of Mesopotamia, Sumerian and other cultures, while their evidence in the form of documentation was taken from religious texts the world over, including the Bible. The religious or mythical texts that have been found tell incredible stories, but the academics will debate their true meaning for eons to come. A lot of physical proof that the Anunnaki existed is the same proof that many point to whenever the subject of ancient aliens is brought up. Structures like the Great Pyramids of Giza, Stonehenge, South American ruins of the statues on Easter Island are immediately brought up. These constructions have such complex designs and scope that it seems like primitive man just didn't have technology or engineering know-how to create them. Which is very true. At that point in time, Earth was sub density octave of third density, which we were still coming to understand as a human soul living a 3D experience, what we actually are consciously. We were still trying to recognize ourselves and still in 2D, 3D merger. We had a lot of shit we had to go through in order to get where we are today, consciously. So in those sub octaves of are coming into being, the interdimensional extraterrestrial beings inhabited this planet before us humans were in its infancy. They had the know-how, the knowledge, the technology, the understanding of how consciousness works, what the creator is, all of it. We didn't. They created us, but we didn't have that knowledge. So here we are trying to figure out what they knew. And mythical, it's true. As an artist, looking at the structures, the height of these structures, the temples, whatever has been left, no effing way a human in that time period could ever come up with the technology or the know-how to construct major sculptures and understand the math to erect those things. Even if you had a chisel and you had to carve that out, not one person, all those people, a whole chunk of people would have to have the skill set to be stone chiselers to the extent to get everything smoothed out, and up. And I'm not just talking about in Egypt, I'm talking about all over the place. There are mountains carved out of stone and carved out. They didn't have hanging ropes. How do you think those people did their job? Do you think platform stilts and scaffolding existed back then? Maybe. But not miles up. Think logically. Even in our time, really think about this. How was the Arc de Triomphe carved and put up? Back in the time when that was made, think about it. There was horse and buggy. Do you really think all those horses got that stone? Think about Greece. Think about Italy. Yeah, there was sculptors who did marble sculptures of figures. Do you know how long that took them? Probably 2 to 3 years, nonstop, to form that marble. How did they build the Colosseum? How is half of Greece made? Have you ever? I mean, I have never been there, but look at the pictures and the scale of the humans to the buildings. You can't tell me that was done by us. I don't believe it. And it's still standing. Yet we have buildings crumbling and falling down. So what technology did they use to make any of that? Please tell me. I have my ideas, but I'm just like making you critically think. For those who aren't into, who is not well read into Tartaria or into this subject, this just really think, how were those structures made? Especially ancient Egypt. You don't think camels were riding stone, tons of stone back and forth? Just saying. Clay tablets from ancient Sumer in cuneiform script tell the tale of the Anunnaki. In particular, the descriptions of the gods on Easter Island with their large oblong heads leads to many to believe that these were actual statues of the Anunnaki. There's also proof of Anunnaki existence and influence in Sumeria and Mesopotamia etchings, which depict creatures that look not quite human and seem to insinuate that they are from the stars. Go take a look at the pictures. I would share screen, but that's not working. Other etchings show the gods creating man in what appears to be a primitive laboratory, leading further credence to the idea that the Sumerians knew they were created by the Anunnaki. Even more proof can be found in the layouts of the civilizations themselves, which were again far larger and more complex than it's believed humans, still in their infancy as a species, could have created. Just mentioned that. It's true though. I mean, we have technology and materials now that are lighter and easy to manipulate. We have plywood, we have 2x4s, we have aluminum, we have plastics. We have a lot of stuff to make houses. Are they junky? Probably, yeah. I know my house is falling apart. They had stone. The civilizations were also laid out in patterns similar to celestial bodies, a fact that has led many to believe that they were a layout that way as markers and guidance mechanisms for visitors from above. Further evidence the Anunnaki presence can be found in Egyptian wall etchings that seem to show light bulbs, other technologies, as well as some understanding of the double helix structure of human DNA. God with the tree of life, genetically engineering our DNA. Physical proof the Anunnaki had significant influence over early humans seemed to be in abundance, but the proof that lies within the writing would seem to be more convincing. It is widely believed that the Nephilim giants referred to in the Bible were actually Anunnaki. A particular interest to Zechariah Sitchin was the stories of the Nephilim, the sons of God, mating with human women, the daughters of men. Stories which he cites as his proof that even the Bible admits to the existence of crossbreeding of Anunnaki. This extends into another idea brought forth by believers that any reference in the Bible to angels is actually referring to Anunnaki. Furthermore, theorists point out that Sumerian lore refers to their gods as Anunnaki and draw the simple conclusion that all of their stories about the gods are literal. Therefore, these are not religious texts rife with metaphor, but a historical account of the Anunnaki's interaction with man. Now I'm going to say this. Yes, there are ETs, interdimensional beings, that do have light bodies and do appear to look like angels. That is absolutely true. Whether you want to believe in that or not, my opinion. Do I believe there are angels? Yes. There's archangels and angels. Yes. From my standpoint, where I stand and what I have seen in my life, my own knowing. Yeah. There's angels that are not Nephilim and that have not fallen. But it's a different layer. Different layers. You have the one infinite creator, and then you have your creator gods, and then you have your angels, and you have your archangels, you have your ascended masters, you have your ET densities, you have all one through all the sub-octaves of each and every one of those densities, and each of those have occupying beings. And then you have your lower densities, you have the demonic realms. And I mean, there's some people that don't believe in any of this, which is fine. But I've seen way too many legitimate things for myself in my own eyes that I cannot dispute that there are different types of beings. I've seen shadow figures. I have seen things move in my room. I have seen spirits in places. I've had incidents where things used to just fly off shelves, just to get a hi, how you doing? I know my parents are able to show me signs that they're around. I know I've seen evil and it's in its pure form. Startle me, not scare me, startle me. That's just me. A lot of people don't have the eyes to see or the ears to hear, and that's okay. But getting tired, guys. It's bad news. I'm getting too much ascension downloading. All right, I'm gonna find. There's another article. Okay, hang on. So that article was really good. This one is along the same lines. The truth about the Anunnaki, the ancient Sumerian gods, and some way were actually aliens. By William Delong, checked by Jaclyn Anglis, published July 7th, 2021, updated November 27th, 2021. I'm sorry, I should have the website somewhere. I don't think I put it in the slides. But you can find that on Quack Quack. If you know the sign language term for that, GO. That's where I get a lot of my stuff from. I can't mention the other Russian place I get my information from. And I'm sure you can find a lot of this on Scribd as well. I can't afford it. And I don't have a working printer. Yeah, I have a lot of things that don't work. It's really bad. Okay, so from their article, before the Greeks exalted Zeus or the Egyptians praised Osiris, the Sumerians worshipped the Anunnaki. These gods of Mesopotamia had wings, wore horned caps, and possessed the ability to control all of humanity. Sumerians revered the Anunnaki as heavenly beings who shaped the destiny of their society. But according to the Sumerians, they didn't do it alone. They owed their historic breakthroughs to a group of gods called the Anunnaki. In their telling, the Anunnaki mostly descended from An, a supreme deity who could control both the fate of human kings and his fellow gods. Though much remains unknown about the Sumerians and their way of life, they left evidence of their beliefs in ancient texts, including the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest written stories in human history. Now, a certain former Secretary of State, HC, wanted to actually dig Gilgamesh's grave up, wanted to find Gilgamesh. I can't imagine why you would want the DNA so that you can continue the evil plot of the caste system. That's another layer a lot of people don't know. Oh yeah, Miss Jezebel herself, reincarnate of Jezebel, wanted to dig up Gilgamesh's grave. It's in an email. According to Stitchin, Nibiru has an elongated orbit of 36,000 years. At one point, this planet passed close to Earth, and its people, the Anunnaki, decided to make contact with our world around 500,000 years ago. But the Anunnaki sought more than just a friendly exchange. They wanted gold, which was desperately needed to repair their planet's atmosphere. Since the Anunnaki weren't able to mine gold themselves, they decided to genetically engineer primitive humans to mine gold for them. And by the time the Sumerians emerged as a civilization, the Anunnaki had given people the ability to write, solve math problems, and plan cities, which led to the future development of life as we know it. So that was just from that article. This is The Ancient Anunnaki, Nibiru, and Why Gold Was So Important by Ancient Code Team, www.amcoemt-code.com. The Great Flood according to the Ancient Sumerian accounts. Did you know that the earliest accounts of the Great Flood are found in ancient Sumerian texts? According to the ancient Sumerians, Eridu, modern-day Abu Shirin, Iraq, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that right, please, was believed to have been the first city ever created and was the home city of the great god Enki. The city is thought to have been found circa 5,400 BC. The Eridu Genesis, which is thought to have is thought to have been composed circa 2,300 BCE, is the earliest known account to the Great Flood, predating the more popular Great Flood described in the biblical book of the Genesis. The Eridu Genesis is a tale where okay, there's a word there. Utnapishtim was instructed by the gods to build a great vessel and gathers inside the seed of life. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yips. Does that sound familiar? So I read the new list. Ancient Anunnaki mines is their evidence. This is where I'm going to get teary-eyed. There's a lot of people who are unaware of what a DUMDS is. I'm not talking about the inner earth tunnels. Those exist. But I have a feeling that those tunnels were dug out and created by the Anunnaki and just structurally made better throughout the millennia of our planet. And if anybody knows what goes on down there, where do you think 800,000 children a year go missing and never are found? No bones, no clothes, gone. Where do you think all those missing children go? $150, I want to say kilometer maybe, west of Port Maputo in South Africa, we find what many people today refer as to one of the first major ancient Anunnaki metropolises. According to initial tests, an area over 1,500 square kilometers is evidence of the existence of giant prehistoric cities that belong to an unknown ancient civilization that inhabited the area in the distant past, at a time when mainstream scholars tell us advanced civilizations did not inhabit Earth. I wonder why they don't want you to know the truth. According to Michael Tellinger, one of the first researchers to investigate the ruins in South Africa, the finding is so incredible that it will need a complete paradigm shift in how we view our human history. Tellinger proposes that the amazing ancient city is part of an even larger community with about 10,000 square kilometers and is believed to have been constructed 160,000 to 200,000 years before Christ. Again, our timelines are absolutely off. Way off. Way off. Nibiru and gold saving the home planet of the ancient Anunnaki. However, what about Nibiru? Moreover, why did the ancient Anunnaki come specifically to Earth in the distant past? In 1976, the late Zecharia Sitchin raised a controversy with the publication of his book, The 12th Planet. In this and subsequent works, Sitchin presents his translations of ancient Sumerian texts, which tell an incredible story regarding the origins of humanity on Earth. Stories that are completely different to those that most of us learn in school. We don't learn any of that in school. Did you know that gold reflects infrared light? Infrared is the light you do not see, but in fact interact with in the form of heat. The radiation interacts with our molecules, and that makes them vibrate faster. And you'll feel that as heat. Gold also makes an excellent heat shield, partially because it is quite malleable. Better yet, you can make gold very thin. It is easy to work with and is excellent properties for reflecting and heat protecting, making it indeed the only metal that is proven to last the test of time. We can say that gold is indestructible. Ancient civilizations used it in thousands of years ago in figures and some of them in buildings. Anything was made out of gold thousands of years ago still exists today. It's very true. Very true. I lost my place. Not really. I had to find the slide. Why was gold so important to the Anunnaki? Posted on November 9th, 2001 by Soren, Dreier, author HF, November 9th, 2021. On Earth, gold is one of the most important resources society knows of. I don't agree with that. We use it in a lot of things. That we do. That paradigm might shift though. It is used in electrical components and in almost everything that has to do with electricity. Gold is really one of the top conductors, and its malleability and ability to transform into wires, the ability to use it in really small forms as nanoparticles, is going to make it an incredible technological resource for any sort of intelligent life form. So you would believe that an alien race with the ability to travel through space uses gold in more than one form. Gold can also be used as an energy resource through properties called thermoelectric effects, where it can take heat and turn it directly into electricity. This means obtaining clear and efficient energy. Did you know that gold reflects infrared light? Here's that argument again. Infrared is basically light you don't see it, but in fact interact with it in the form of heat. The radiation interacts with our molecules, and that makes them vibrate faster, and you feel that as heat. Gold also makes a good heat shield, particularly because it's quite malleable. Better yet, you can make gold very thin. It's easy to work with and has great properties for reflecting heat protection, making it truly the only metal that is proven to be the test of time. We could say that gold is indestructible. Ancient civilizations used it thousands of years ago in figures and some of them in buildings. Anything that was made out of gold thousands of years ago still exists today. Not only in ancient Sumeria, but ancient civilizations across the planet had a very special place for gold in their society. Stitchin theorized that the Anunnaki came from another planet in our solar system. Within ecliptical orbit, the planet's minerals and resources were depleting, specifically gold. The Anunnaki's home planet needed gold in the atmosphere, which was disappearing, so they basically came to Earth to mine gold and take it back to their planet. According to ancient alien theory, the Anunnaki genetically altered primitive mankind and created a labor force, which allowed them to mine gold faster. So more or less the same thing. The same thing. The same thing. Right? So I find it very interesting that, I mean, it's research, but not enough. And I mean, there were people that really deep dived into that topic. This book is weird. I mean, I love Erich von Daniken. Don't get me wrong. But there isn't like race in particular in here. But I did find something. Sorry, my old butt. My back is killing me. So I do get to read a book. I put forth a speculation for which I have given some support in this book. 1. In the unknown past, a battle took place in the depths of the galaxy between intelligence similar to human beings. 2. The losers in this battle escaped in a spaceship. 3. As they knew the mentality of the victors, they set a trap in that they did not land on the planet that was ideal for their existence. I wonder if he's referring to the Orion Lion Wars. Food for thought, because I didn't read the book the whole way. The losers chose the planet Earth, which was just acceptable in comparison with their home planet, but certainly did not offer ideal conditions. I would say so myself. The losers continued to wear gas masks in the new atmosphere in order to get used to the terrestrial air mixture, hence the helmets, trunks, breathing apparatuses in the cave drawings. They do exist. They burrowed deep into the earth and made the tunnel systems, again, there they go again with the tunnel systems, out of fear of their pursuers who were equipped with every kind of technological aid. 6, in order to deceive their opponents completely, they set up on the 5th planet of our solar system, not the Earth. Technical stations and transmitters were emitted coded reports. 7, the victors fell into the trap and believed the bluff. They brutally annihilated the 5th planet. It was destroyed by a gigantic explosion. Parts of its substance shot through the planetoid belt. A glance at the map of our solar system shows that there is an unnatural gap of 300 million miles between the present-day 4th and 5th planets, Mars and Jupiter. But the gap is not empty. Hundreds and thousands of small lumps of stone, known collectively as a planetoid belt, are tumbling about in it. From time innumerable, astronomers have been puzzling to explain how and why a planet can have exploded between Mars and Jupiter. I venture to assert the planets do not explode by themselves. Sometimes someone makes them explode. Meldeck, Tiamat. I mean, interestingly enough, I don't remember who channeled this, but I do recall someone going, I think it was in Dolores Cannon, perhaps, maybe, that the planet exploded and that all the inhabitants there had to be moved. And I think that's where they got the soul essences from, that, whether you want to call it Meldeck or Tiamat, same concept. Those beings with the genetically modified avatars. Possibly. Just my theory. The victors thought that the losers were destroyed. They withdrew their spaceships to their home planet. Owing to the destruction of the fifth planet, the gravitational balance in our solar system was temporarily thrown into confusion. The Earth's axis moved a few degrees out of position. This resulted in tremendous inundations. There are legends of floods and deluges among peoples all over the world. The losers emerged from their magnificently built catacombs and began to create intelligence on Earth. Using their knowledge of the molecular biology, losers created men in their image from already existing monkeys. The genetic code sagas about creation of man's gods promised to Abraham and others that their descendants would be as numerous as the stars in heaven. There's debates about that. The former losers, now absolute rulers and therefore gods, found that the progress and evolution of the human race was too slow. They knew perfectly well the beings created by them were like gods, but they wanted more rapid progress. Genesis 6 again. This they began to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. The gods were often hot-tempered in their impatience. They were quick to punish and wipe out the malcontents and those who did not follow their biological laws laid down. Poor encourager. The gods had no moral feelings about such radical cleaning up operations, for they felt that they were responsible as creator of men for their future development. But men were afraid of the gods and their punitive expeditions, especially once the gods were no longer first generation gods. When they were their sons and daughters, to whom men believed that they were already assimilated, proof mythologies of the families of the gods. Then whole groups of men began to dig themselves underground hideouts out of fear of the divine judgment. Perhaps these groups of men still had tools available that they had made under the gods' guidance, tools with which they could perhaps work stone more easily than archaeologists can imagine today. 14. It is a fact that today more and more gigantic underground dwellings that are not identical to the tunnel systems in Ecuador and Peru are being discovered annually over, I don't say that, planet. The subterranean human cities, which are constantly being discovered, are obviously the work of many hands. They were not made with sophisticated technical equipment such as the thermal drill. Such subterranean shelters, which men built out of fear of destruction from the cosmos, can be found, for example, at San Augustine, Colombia, underground sanctuaries with connecting passages. Cholula, Mexico, underground temple with connecting passages, not to be confused with the passages stretching kilometers installed by archaeologists. Durkin Ayu, Anatolia, Turkey, underground cities with several story-eyed houses and large assembly rooms. 15. If men, namely our ancestors, built safety bunkers underground by hand with the expenditure of tremendous effort, they did not do it for pleasure, nor for protection against wild animals, nor to the glory of their religious ideals, nor did they do so out of fear of alien conquerors. Such excavations using simple tools and crude physical strength would have taken years. Alien conquerors would have had no difficulty in forcing these crazy defenders to surrender. They had only to sit down outside the cave entrance and starve the inmates to death. 16. I say that there was only one reason for the underground caves built by human hands, and that was fear of attack from the air. But who could assail men from the air? Only those whom knew by tradition those gods who had once visited them long, long ago. I know I'm offering my head on a platter to every critic, but this is daring speculation, but I'm used to that by now. This is interesting. Criticism and Odom could not rain down on me more fiercely than they did after I quoted Ezekiel in Chariots of the Gods. I must recapitulate. It says it in Ezekiel. There's a lot they don't tell you. There's a lot archaeologists aren't allowed to say. There's a lot of, I mean, even archaeologists nowadays, they only have so much access as the government wherever they're digging allows them to go. And even if they discover something, they might not be allowed to talk about what they found. There are many caged off entrances in many of the smaller pyramids and tombs. I mean, yes, they're very dangerous. They're very old. But if they're fenced up, they found something. They don't want you to know about it. Not everything's for your safety. A lot of things are for privacy. And I'm going to end on this last note. In what fuck news, if you know what the underground tunnels under certain city-states in Italy are connected to Jerusalem and Israel and to other countries up and down through Europe and going all over the place, they have been causing lots of earthquakes in a lot of different cities and towns, because what's underneath those cities and towns are ancient tunnel systems that sort of was hoarding gold. On my Telegram page, I have to see if I can find those pictures. There is rooms and tunnels filled with gold. Lots of gold. The 7.8 billion people on this planet would never again need to worry about having a home, having food, having electricity, or their bills ever to be paid ever again. Especially living now. We would never have to worry about abundance. We would never have to manifest it in that kind of way. Hidden from human eyes for millennia. Now the question now serves to become, who are they hiding that gold from? Yes, from us. But were they hiding it from the Anunnaki? that is some pretty interesting deep dive I have to do now. Light bulbs going off in my brain. But can you imagine they found so much gold? Like the pictures of soldiers sitting on like the biggest treasure hunt in the world. And it's there. There's pictures of it. So I've seen them. I'll see if I can find the pictures. And if you're interested and you have Telegram, you can go into the description box and join my chit chat and or subscribe to I have a channel and a chit chat. They're different, but I usually post the same things in there. And also people find stuff, please link it in there. Don't be shy. If you have your own YouTube channel and you could promote yourself, just do it once and that's fine. Like I don't go out with my YouTube videos and like start spamming like my video thousands of times. It's annoying. But if you have information that you want to share, please don't be shy. Like more information, more learning, more social memory complex gathering we can all get. All of us will go quantum jump. But yeah, can you imagine how if they were hiding it from us, why did they need to hide all of that from us? That, I mean, I don't want to give out a number because I'm not 100% sure what was recovered, but it covers enough that everybody would be fine on this planet, period, end of story. So that's a lot of gold. Now, who are they hiding that from besides the human population? That, great. And we do have Anunnaki descendants amongst the humans that were crossbred. That's absolutely true. There are people that have elongated skulls. I don't want to hear it. I've seen pictures of it. Just like the Dracos have hybrids of humans and Dracos with a more decisive bloodline. Like when I talk about star seeds and you're from this and you're from that and you have star memories and certain blood types are certain specific races, that is all probably well and true, but there are people who kept their bloodline just about pure, and we know what happens when incest, I said it, I said it, happens. Or they find there's more than, I mean, they're spread out, but they keep everybody pretty much confined to a few families that could intermingle sexually and create humans, hybrids, and keep everything within the bloodlines. And then it spiders out. And it's been spidering out for millennia. And we call them the elite. The communist, Marxist, fascists, tyrannical dictators who have had a stronghold and infiltrated every aspect of society. And where did they get that concept from? I read it a whole bunch tonight. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode 2 of the Anunnaki. I'm very animated. Very animated. So the next time, episode 3 might be about their return. I have to skim through that book and then I have to like make it my own words to describe things so I don't get yelled at or in trouble. Yeah. But guys, if you liked this episode, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to my channel. I do oracle readings. I haven't done a kid read aloud in a while. I have 1 or 2 more books, but I'm trying to not go in public because I don't like tyranny here. I might do a couple of read alouds for the kids. But I mean, the main focus of the channel is this, and then Oracle. And I'm thinking about making the Oracle just for another channel, but posting it here as well. Didn't decide about that yet. Because I want everybody to know it has multiple purposes. Because some people don't gel with the information, but some people that just are looking for the Oracle cards go, oh, wait, what about that in reincarnation? Huh, that might be interesting to watch. And they learn something. That's the intention of throwing certain things on the channel. But if this resonates with you, also share it. I'm trying. Again, I'm not an Anunnaki expert. I think it's extremely interesting and it has everything to do with the here and the now. And that's where I try to plug my channel, where I'm reading books, but it all stimulates and comes in bubbles, and then it percolates, and then here we are, we're in the here and the now. And it is super important to know about the past because we're repeating it. But this time, hopefully we beat and not make the same mistakes. Very important. So yeah, if you're interested in vitality, I have a male version of this as well. And that's not to say just organ wise. Amazing products. Email me about those. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed it. Sending each and every one of you love and light. If my work resonates with you and you have it within you to help me out with a love donation, that'd be perfectly amazing. If not, the like, the share, the subscribe would be just as good. A prayer, manifesting some abundance for Allison. I need a miracle. And I don't know when that miracle is coming in. I know I'm on divine timing, but like divine timing sometimes makes it so that I drop down to nothing and then I'm stuck and then I'm just at the brink of death. And then, but I don't have anybody to come in to help me this time. I'm not asking for that. You know, I'm trying to find a job that I could do, that I'm not standing on my feet for 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day. I can't do that. And one that I don't need to pay a $20 bridge toll for, or even $18 going into New Jersey. It's really expensive to even get off this goddamn island. And if I do it, it's because I'm moving. Otherwise, I'm going to lose it all unless I figure it out. Fun times. Very important that we understand the Anunnaki and what their role is if they choose to come back. And I don't know what form they're coming back in, but if you have information and you would like to do a live with me, please let me know. I would love you and your information to pop on here and to talk about it. And if you're shy, camera shy, you could put a cute picture of a puppy dog or a kitty cat, and you could put it up as yourself and you could just talk if that is something you would like to do. Or I'm more than happy to share your findings and give you credit. It's not about me. It's about getting the information out to everybody and informing and educating everybody as best as possible. And I don't always have all the answers, and I don't have all the information, and I don't have all the resources. I only have what I have. So please keep that in mind. But I'm more than happy to share my platform with others who have information. Okay. Okay, everyone. See you on the next one. Episode 3 should be interesting. Bye, guys.